Welcome to Biology Made Easy. Biology Made Easy are biology lessons designed for high school and secondary school biology students. Students will find the lessons great that propels you for university. Welcome indeed. In our last lesson, we were looking at biological techniques, microscopy. We're looking at microscopes, how to use optical microscopes. We looked at hand lenses too. We want to continue our lesson on use of microscopes. In our last lesson, we discussed the parts of the microscope, which I quickly will go through using this. We have the light in here. We have a condenser and a diaphragm low here. So you can increase or decrease the amount of light getting through. We have the stage. We have our specimen slide that is put on the stage. We have these clips that hold the specimen slide in place. We have objective lenses, lenses that are very close to the specimen. They are convex lenses that magnifies the image. We have the revolving nose piece that moves the objectives, changing from one objective power to another objective power. That's the revolving nose piece. Then we have the eyepiece, also a convex lens that magnifies the image. This is just a tube. And you remember how we drew and showed the stand that holds them? We have the coarse adjustment knob that moves the stage. We have the fine adjustment knob also that moves the stage and moves the lenses closer or far apart. In our last lesson, we used the microscope, focused it to look at the specimen under low power. So we are continuing from there. You have looked at the specimen at low power. We now want to turn to look at the specimen under high power. And high power lens is this one, 40 times, all right? That is what we want to do. Now, what you do is to turn the revolving nose piece and turn from the low power and bring it onto the center of the stage, the high power, onto the center of the stage. When it's there, you hear a click. So now the high power is in view. Take note that when the high power objective piece is being used, you only have to use the fine adjustment knob. So we are now going to look at our specimen, moving only the fine adjustment knob and turning it down slowly. And here are our specimen very well in view, having used only the fine adjustment knob. Now, after you've seen your specimen, you've drawn your specimen, now you finished the work, you want to take the slide off. You want to take the slide off, don't remove the slide while the high power objective lens is on. Turn from the high power objective to the low power objective using the revolving nose piece. So you turn the revolving nose piece, that is the revolving nose piece, turn it and turn it away from the center of the stage. Then you can take the clips off and take your slide off. So that is high power. So this is a quick through how to use the optical microscope. Now let's look at the differences between high power magnification and low power magnification. Now when you are using low power magnification, the objective lens for low power is 4 times or 10 times. The objective lens for high power can be 40 times, 50 times. That's the objective lenses, very high. And low power, you have a big field of view, you have a wide field of view, but not much detail, low detail. So you have wide field of view, you have a lot of structures, but not detail. But the high power, you have a small field of view. You can have just these two. You can have just these two structures. But you see a bit of detail. Field of view, but detailed. That's the difference between high power and low power magnification. Of the optical lenses. All right. Now let's look at the magnification of the microscope. All right. The magnification of the microscope, if you see an object under the microscope, how large is it magnified? You have the low power. If the low power is times 4, and you have the high power, 40 times, the magnification is therefore 160 times. So the magnification of the microscope, if you see an object in the microscope, if you are using a low power of 4 times and you are using a high power of 40 times, then the magnification of the structure you are seeing, the image of the object, is big, 160 times. We also want to look at some precautions whilst you are using the microscope. If the microscope is not an inbuilt one with light and you have a separate mirror that you have to manipulate to trap light, then don't direct the mirror directly to light, sunlight. Otherwise, too much light will get in and will affect your eye. That is one of the precautions to note. Now, the other precaution to note is while you are using high power, only use the fine adjustment knob so that you don't lose the specimen or break the slide. So only fine adjustment knob is used when you are doing high power. Then also, as we have said, before taking the slide off, make sure that you turn from high power off the center of the stage. All right, then you remove the slide neatly. Now we want to look at how to care for microscopes and microscope slides. All right, now This is the microscope, very expensive structures. When you want to lift the microscope, hold the base and the limb. This is the limb. Hold it to move the microscope from one place to another. Then also, the microscopes should be protected well, kept in boxes. All right? Boxes so that dust will not get in. So the microscope should be kept away from dust. Some of the things that affect the microscope, spoil the microscope, is dust, fungi, oil, rust. All right? And fungi grow where there's moist, the atmosphere is moist and warm. Fungi will grow when it's moist. So the microscopes should be kept in boxes, and the boxes have silica gel. This is silica gel, all right? Silica. Silica gel. All right, you see silica gel packaged in small things that are put in shoes that are being sold. The silica gel trap moisture. So if the boxes have silica gel, all right, it helps to trap moisture so that fungi does not grow on the lenses or parts of the microscope. That is one way to keep microscope. Now, the cupboards also can be fitted with bulbs, light bulbs that can heat the cupboards so that the cupboards are kept dry so that fungi do not grow in there. So this is how to keep the microscopes from fungi. Then also dust can also worry the parts of the microscope. And so the dust can also be removed by blowing on the various parts. You remove the parts and blow the dust off and clean with very neat lens tissue so that you clean the lenses. There are lenses in there that needs to be cleaned, all right, with very soft tissue, all right. Then there can be a problem of rust. So parts can be oiled to keep away from rust. Good. Now, how do you know which parts of the microscope to clean? When you are looking at a specimen, all right, and the specimen, you find blotches or dirt on the specimen, blotches or dirt. How do you know whether the dirt is from the eyepiece or the objective lens? Now, when you look at the specimen, rotate the eyepiece. If you rotate the eyepiece and the dirt is on the eyepiece, the dirt will move as you rotate the eyepiece. If the dirt does not move as you rotate the eyepiece, then the dirt is not on the eyepiece lens. the dirt is on the objective piece. So this is how you know where the dirt comes from. Good. Now we want to shift on to another care. We want to shift on to how to care for microscope slides. This is the microscope slide. It should be kept clean and neat. So you hold microscope slides not at the top of it. You hold every time the slide at the edges. Cover slips are also very tiny and weak. They are also held at the sizes, not fingers on top. All right, that is how to get microscope slides and cover slips neat. Okay, so this is the end of our lesson on how to use microscopes, optical microscopes, and care for microscopes and microscope slides. You have some assignment to do. Let's take down the assignment. Question 1. A student examined the gills of a bony fish using a hand lens which had inscribed on its frame 10 times. The student made a 12 centimeter long drawing of the fish and wrote underneath the drawing times 0.6. Question 1a. What was the length of the bony fish? Show how you arrived at this. B. Give a heading or title to the drawing. Question 2. Trace the power of light in the optical microscope. Question 3. State the adaptations of the cover slip of the optical microscope. So let's look at the answer to the question. The student used a hand lens that had 10 times written on it. The hand lens is 10 times. And remember we said the magnification of hand lenses does not go to have anything to do with the magnification of the drawing. So the magnification of the drawing, this is the equation to solve it. And the student had the length of the drawing as 12 centimeters. We are looking for the length of the fish. So we say it's x centimeters. The student drew the fish and wrote times 0.6 beneath it. So the times 0.6 is the magnification that the student wrote. So the magnification is therefore 0.6. We are looking for the length of the fish, which is the length of the object. So we have 12 centimeters this way, and we have 0.6 times x. All right? So we can have another one, 12 centimeters over 0.6 is equal to x centimeters. All right? So we come here to have 120 over 6, which is x centimeters. And this gives us 20. So x is therefore 20 centimeters. So the length of the fish is 20 centimeters. All right? So we have showed, the students showed working. The next question is to write the title of the drawing. So the title is Drawing of the Lateral View of bony fish showing the gills. All right? So that is the title of the drawing. The other question was for you to trace the path of light in the microscope. So simple mirror, condenser, diaphragm, microscope slide or specimen, objective piece, barrel, eyepiece. That is the path of light. The next question is the adaptation of the cover slip. Now, the cover slip, very tiny, it's dropped onto the specimen on the microscope slide. Its adaptation is like its structure and use. So let's list the adaptations. You see, it's light in weight so that it does not compress the specimen to distort it. It is thin to have very close contact with the specimen to prevent air or dust getting to the specimen. Then it is transparent to allow light to pass through to get to the convex lenses, all right? So that is the adaptations of this tiny thing it has used. This is answers to the assignment. So this brings us to the end of our lesson on microscopes. The next time, what to expect in our next lesson, we will look at microscope specimens, how to prepare specimens for microscope work. We will also discuss the differences between magnification and resolution of microscopes. We'll also look at the differences between optical and electron microscopes. So till we meet in our next lesson, goodbye and thank you.